Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Hello out there. We're on the air, I think. Oh, we had Arnie here. Son of a gun. See ya, bud. Uh-oh. Why didn't that work? Trying to top up the Zap stream here. Oh, that's good. Why aren't you working? Come on, Zaps. Anyways, good morning, everybody. That's not working. Why? Why is that not working? Hold on, Oh, that worked. Okay, we might be back. Are we back? No. Not working. Why? I don't know. We'll keep going without it. We'll keep trying. Offline. Huh. Okay. Anyways, we got a good crew in here this morning. It looks like I've been away, as you probably might know. Watch. Okay, so it's live. Seems like we're live. Looks like we got a Zap in there already too. Anyways, hello everybody. It's gonna be a great day today. I can feel it. Couple Zaps coming in. All right. Sorry. This the show today. So it's been, I don't know how long it's been, over a week and a half since the Daily Bitcoin Journey episode 296. No, 297. Whatever it is. But anyways, we're just going to take it slow today, as I'm sure you can tell already. It's like when you take some time off the gym and you don't get back in the gym and start doing a bunch of heavy bench presses and squats. You just kind of ease back into it, right? That's what we're going to do today. We're not going to do any sort of heavy lifting. But anyways, look at this. We got a fat Zap here. My God. Couple fat Zaps coming in. All right. So let's just say hi. Let's get to some hellos. Ease yourself back into this thing. Ginger's here. Good morning, Ginger. Welcome back. Thank you, my friend. It's good to be back. I was really excited for the show today, actually. It's been too long. It's probably my longest stretch away from the show for forever, probably. Tommy D, good to see you, man. Buck 52. Simon, good day. Mark, we got Josh, who I just saw. We got a Zap from, I'm thinking, anyways. Josh, do you notice anything in the background here? I was going to text you, but I didn't really have time. Oh, there it is. It's hidden. It's hidden. I don't know if Josh is still here or not. I'm hoping so. But look at that nice hat. Where is it? Right there? Above Arnie. That's one of the we've received a couple fan. I don't know if there'd be fan mail. I don't know what they are, but anyways, Josh sent a very, very beautiful hat. It made my whole week. I put it on. Then I felt bad for putting it on. It's one of the white. There it is, right there. Make America Great Again hats. What a beauty! I should have worn it today, but we're kind of too far into it now. But anyways, thank you, Josh, and Josh's brother who sent that hat in. Awesome. Very, very cool stuff. I very much appreciate that, Josh. And we got Letha over here. Look at that. Letha zapped 1K sats. Sats.gg is looking good. They actually improved their user interface here. That's what I'm watching it on right now. Not watching it, but just making sure, checking on the chat. So thank you, Letha. 1,000 sats. And I see some more here for Arnie, so I should give a couple shout outs. 888 sats. I'm guessing that was from Josh. Said, we missed you, Arn. And we got a 50 sat Zap to start the show today as well. So thank you. And I got a couple more to give shout outs here, but we'll We'll keep her going here. Oh, that was $1.52. 50 for the dog. For King Arnie. Thank you, $1.52. Wisconsin. Look at that. Simon. Jay says, George, glad you're back. God bless. Thank you. I'm glad to be back too. I don't know how long I'm going to be back for, but we're back for the meantime. So that's all that matters. Yahim. That's a great name. Yahim Stone. Cheers, my friend. Hey, Dale. Look at that. We got Dale in the chat this morning. How you doing, Dale? Timber Crusher, welcome back, George. Thank you, my friend. It's really good to be back. I don't know how to say this one. Mackay? Mashaj? It's a tough one. Greetings from Poland. Glad to have you. From Poland. Wow. Toronto Bacon Booty. Steven Schaefer. 60. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Steven Schaefer says, I'm at 60 out of 365. Quite the journey. That's good. I actually did, I think it was number 82 yesterday. I'm pretty sure anyways. I did it on my way back from the city in the car. We did the very first car episode yesterday because I didn't have time when I got back. I got back pretty late last night. It's been as you know, it's been a pretty eventful couple weeks here for me. But so I did one in the show or in the car last night. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit today, I think, too, because I wouldn't say it's an epiphany I had, but something like that. We got a couple different things to talk about today. Oh, that didn't work. I wonder what's going on here with the zaps. I got to figure out a way to top that up here on the show. How am I going to do this? Speed? Let's try the speed wallet out. Maybe that'll work. Anyways, I'm glad you're enjoying the 365. I've been really enjoying doing those myself. It's pretty tough to do a video every day about a different subject within Bitcoin, but it's nice. Duncan, thank you, my friend. Welcome back. Santino. Simon says, question for you all. My wife and 4 of my kids were in a car accident a year ago that thankfully they all walked away from. Thanks to the big Suburban they were driving. I ended up spending my savings, $25,000, that I was going to put into Bitcoin. How do I fight that with insurance? How do I fight that with insurance for the value of that? Well, that's a tough one, Simon. Sorry to hear that, man. Ended up spending, I guess it really depends on what you spent the $25K on. I don't know. I'm not an insurance expert here. But yeah, that's a tough one. I don't really know how to answer that one. It would depend. Like if I'm sure if there was medical expenses, that'd be coming back through a tax return. It really depends on what the 25K was spent on. Don't have enough info there. Sorry. Bitcoin Buddha. Welcome back, George. Good morning from snowy New England. It's pretty snowy here too. Cleaning Machine says, while you're on the air, hope you and your family's well. Good morning. Yeah, we're doing all right. We're doing all right. I'll give a very quick update for anybody who cares. So that's why I've been away. I was unfortunately not on vacation or anything like that. I've been in the hospital for the last, I don't know, too long. Since last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, 10 days. So I got probably suffering through a little bit of delirium right now, just from so many hours in the hospital. It's a different world in there, that's for sure. I give a lot of credit to the doctors and the nurses who deal with that kind of stuff every day. It's takes a toll on you, that's for sure. But for my perspective, anyways, things are looking a little bit better. I think slowly. It's had some complications in a fairly major surgery. It seems like everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, unfortunately. But that's life. You know, you always think that it's not going to be you that it happens to, but sometimes the reality is that you are that small percent that it happens to. So unfortunately that was and is my mother, and she's in recovery mode right now. It's going to be a very slow and long recovery, unfortunately. But you know, we had a couple scares, and as long as it's going to be, it is what it is. There's nothing that we can do about it. So I don't really have a whole lot to report or anything that I really need to share on here. But we're a little bit better. Obviously, if I'm sitting here right now, things are looking a little bit better. We're definitely not out of the woods yet, but no, it's good to be back at home. That's for sure. Caden, any thoughts on MSTY? Misty, been looking into it, but I'm better off going into straight Bitcoin or MSTR. Yeah, I don't know, Caden. Honestly, it's I haven't spent enough time looking at that. I think Misty's the one with the dividend. You can't really go wrong, honestly. Whether it's Misty, whether it's MSTR, whether it's Bitcoin, whatever makes the most sense, I think, for your current situation, that's what you need to go into. I don't think you're going to lose in any of those, honestly. I would take both. It really depends. If you're putting something into your portfolio that's going to be there for a very long time, any of those options. But the one thing I would say, if you need that capital, like if you have short-term funds that you're allocating somewhere that you might need in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, I would probably avoid MicroStrategy, honestly, mostly because it's just so volatile. And that's on purpose. That's by design. Saylor doesn't try to hide the fact that it's a volatile stock. That's his whole selling point, actually. That's what he's trying to do there. So volatility works if you're going to be there for a long time, if you're trading up and down. But if you're putting that money into a short-term fund that you're going to need access to in a couple months or a year from now, I wouldn't put it into MicroStrategy because it might be one of the down weeks when you need it. So for something like that, I would probably go into Bitcoin or like a Bitcoin ETF, something along those lines. But yeah, long-term, any of those three things are going to be very, very good allocations of your capital. Look at that. Here's a noteworthy headline. Bitcoin whale dormant since 2016 moves 250 million worth of Bitcoin after 83x gains. Wow. That's pretty crazy. 250 mil. That's crazy. Could you imagine? I mean, kind of stupid though. I don't know if they moved it to themselves or to an exchange. We don't have that info, but yeah, I don't know. Hold on. I'm still trying to get this. I'm still trying to get this freaking Zap stream working here. I'm running out before I run on the sats here. Top up. Come on. Work for a guy. Give us something here. Give us something. Yeah, you ever feel like, I don't know. This is kind of how I feel right now. Send. What's going on here? These aren't working. I don't know why. I can't top up my Zap stream. Tried from Walda Satoshi, tried from Speed Wallet, and neither of those are working. Huh. That's not good. We're not looking good here, folks. Zap stream. Anyways, what was I saying there? This is kind of how I'm feeling right now, especially with this. Sorry. I know it's painful to watch stuff like this. I've been there. Especially if you're watching the recorded version later. But I'm trying to get the Zap stream to work here. It's not working. Fuck. Anyways, okay, let's move on. I don't know what to do. If anybody's on Zap stream and can try that out, try topping up my balance there, and I'll send you some sats back. Because it's not working for me. I tried Walda Satoshi and Speed, and both are failing. I don't know why. Anyways, let me know if you don't mind. If somebody's over in Zapstream, try it out. I don't know how much longer we're going to be on there for. But hey, Mark, only Satoshis said new mic sounds crisp, and it's not a new mic actually. I just moved it. Does it sound better? Rajat said it sounded a lot better. He was the one who told me to. He was the one who told me to move it closer to my face because it was too far away. I thought I was doing it okay, and I think it worked fine, but it sounds like it's quite a bit better here, right in front of my face. Makes sense, right? Any podcaster you watch online, it's right in front of their face. So I don't know why I thought I was smarter than them. Letha said, I used to see a link to Top of Rebalance, but I don't see anything now. Fuck. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I tried everything I could there, folks. I'll keep trying. We got 200 sats left before I run out. But anyways, Lock Sky, good morning. Great to see you. Josh O. Wah, Bitcoin straight up wins every time. That is true. All right. Let's get to, where should we start here? Start with the mempool. We missed a pretty significant block. But what I was about to say there is, this is kind of how I think about things sometimes. It's like whenever it just seems like things don't work some days. It's like that didn't work. Things are happening. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but whenever I'm golfing and things aren't going my way and I miss a couple putts, I always remind myself, like, statistically speaking, this should turn around. It should. And the only thing that it's tough because when you're going through that, it seems like you're never going to get out of that, negativity cycle where bad things are just happening over and over again and nothing's working. But it does. It just takes some time too. And it's, again, statistically speaking, you're not going to miss 20 putts in a row. You're not going to have 20 bad days in a row. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is just like, I think that statistically speaking here, things should start turning around. Bunny, good morning. Dale says the Jade Plus is now available in the 88 Sats starter kit. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Let's check that out while we're here. So there's been quite a few people asking about the Jade Plus, and if we could put it into our deal on Quickbit. So let's just see where it is. Is it the multi-sig? No, that's not it. 88 Sats starter kit. I guess I should have checked this with Dale before trying to do this. Anyways, I trust him. We don't need to look at it. But if you're in the market for a Jade, Plus, you can use Quickbit there. There's the link, actually twice, ×2. So you can click that. You can type in 88 Sats as your discount code. It's a pretty good deal. I think that's the best deal you're going to find on the internet. Plus, you get 15% off using that code. So I don't know how many people are in the market, but I'll get some more information on that, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. That's true. That is true. And it's a good reminder sometimes that life is pretty short and precious. But anyways, we missed a pretty substantial block while I was gone. Unfortunately, I wanted to do a live stream about it, but timing didn't work out. I think it happened at about 4 a.m. Eastern time, maybe 3 a.m. So I was sawing logs at that point. But we hit block height 888,888 last, when was that? Saturday? So it's kind of cool. There's a lot of people talking about that. I didn't know that eights were so significant in Bitcoin. But since then, we've got a lot of blocks going on here. So we're currently sitting at block height 889,373. Via BTC was the winner of the last two blocks. We just watched them hit a fresh one there too on the air. So it looks like the Bitcoin network is buzzing. We had a previous upwards adjustment, which means that there's lots of people contributing their energy and their electricity to the Bitcoin network. And we're currently it's looking like a 4.68 upwards adjustment again, 14 blocks ahead. I thought I saw somebody posting about the hash rate here. Let's check it out. Yeah. So it looks like we peaked in February. The difficulty anyways. The hash rate peaked in February as well. 981 exahash per second. Wow. That's nuts. 981. Yeah, that's where we peaked. And yesterday it looks like we were at 884. So pretty good. I mean, if you zoom out, look at this. This is the best chart in Bitcoin right here. That's amazing. That is the only thing that matters in Bitcoin. Well, not the only thing, but it's an important factor in it. Probably it's much more important than the price, this hash rate and difficulty. Look at that. How could you argue with that? You ever feeling down in Bitcoin? Just look at the hash rate. 10 years ago, in April 2015, the hash rate was 293 petahash per second. And then we went to, and then about right here, where was this? We got our first exahash. Somewhere in here. October 2017. We crossed into the exahashes. And now, 981 exahash we peaked at. So that's a good one. That's a really strong indication for Bitcoin. And it's, if you look at some of the markers in that chart, you should have a pretty good idea of where things are headed to. Anyways, Spaceman with the 88 sat zap. Thank you, my friend. Zapstream, I'm just going to give you a heads up here. You might cut off at any moment because I am unable to top up my balance here. But anyways, let's keep things going here. So I got a couple different things I want to talk about today. Specifically, I was just going to kind of see where this thing was going to lead today. I didn't got a couple things to talk about, but I just figured, you know, it's been a week and a half. There's been a lot of different things happen. And so I didn't really want to pinpoint one thing or the other. I just figured it would kind of happen organically here and find some things to talk about organically. This was a big one, though. What's going on here now? Is it really laggy? I don't know. It seems like it's really laggy on my end. You know. So look at this. Bitcoin block 888989 worth over 250,000 or about 3.12 Bitcoin. More importantly, it was just found by a solo miner with under 1 terahash per second of hash rate. It's only the third block ever discovered by a Bidax and the second this month. Block 853, 742, and 887212 are the others. Solo home mining is winning. That's a hard one to say. It's a Bidax right there. Beautiful. I got a couple running myself. I think it's kind of stupid not to be running one. I don't want to, make fun of anybody here, but if you're in Bitcoin and you understand Bitcoin at all, you should probably be mining, solo mining. And pretty cheap. I think they're about $200. You hardly notice it on your energy bill. And I just look at it like a lottery ticket. That's pretty much it. I don't spend any sort of money on gambling or lottery tickets or scratch tickets. This is my lottery ticket. And I don't ever intend on hitting a block. But could you imagine? Could you imagine waking up one day and you check your Bitcoin wallet and there's 3.125 Bitcoin in there? That changes your life forever. Even if it was one Bitcoin that you won, it would change your life forever. And I just think that if you're not doing that, you're just kind of missing out on that opportunity. Plus, aside from that, even if you have no intentions or, expectations of hitting a block, you're learning about mining. And I think that everybody's going to have some Bitcoin mining incorporated into their life. It's at one point or another, whether you're heating your house with it, heating the shop, heating your business, whatever it is. everybody's going to have a taste of Bitcoin mining here. So this was a really good introduction for me to learn how to do it, how to connect, all that kind of stuff. Plus, finally, you're helping to decentralize the Bitcoin network. The more of these things we can get going, the better off we're going to be. And that's kind of going to be the point of today. I titled the show today, "We Are Missing the Plot in Bitcoin." And we're going to talk about that. It's I watched an interview with Jeff Booth the other day, and we'll maybe get to that right after this. But anyways, that's the BitAxe. I got one running right behind me here. You can see it right above my thumb. Still going. I didn't even check on it yesterday. I was gone for a week and a half here, and it's still humming. So I'm going to hit one of those blocks one day. Actually, I put in the show notes here at the very top, I put my referral link, I think it is, or if you're looking for a BitAxe, where to get one. Solo Satoshi, that's where I got mine from. That's what it looks like this one was from as well, that we just showed there, Solo Satoshi. And really good customer service. I've had a really good relationship with Matt from Solo Satoshi. So you can use that link and you can order one from, I think, Canada, the US, and Australia. And if you're from somewhere else and you want one, we could probably make that happen as well. But from that specific link, that specific store for the Bitcoin journey, it's only for Canadians, Americans, and Australians. So it's right at the top of the show notes there if you want to grab 1 or 2 or 5 of those things. J-Dog. Bit late. Hope you and yours are doing well. Yeah, we're doing all right. We're doing all right. Rob says, Bitcoin has taught me to stay calm in any situation. Is great for my anxiety. Who would have thought? Isn't that true? Isn't that true? And, I was thinking about that yesterday too. I mean, I've had a lot of time to think in these last couple of weeks here between driving and just sitting there. It's, I don't know. I've been trying my best to incorporate Stoicism into my life for the last, 5-10 years. And I'm glad that I did, truly, because when you're doing it, you're like, okay, well, this is, it's kind of interesting, but like, when is this going to be useful for me? And, you probably use it more than you think if you're into Stoicism and focusing on what you can control. It impacts so much of your life, but when you need it, that's the thing. That's what I was thinking about. I was so thankful that I'd gone through all these different, spent so much time in Stoicism and reading about things within Stoicism and practicing, essentially rehearsing for when times like this happen, because these things happen very unexpectedly in your life. And, it's not something you learn in a week or two, but you just slowly compound and accumulate this over time. And then when you need it, it's there. And I think that applies to a lot of things in life, but Stoicism for me has been a big one. And, Bitcoin and Stoicism are kind of go hand in hand for me. And that's kind of what Rob's talking about there too. But yeah, look at that. We got Plunger over in the Zap stream, zapped 1,000 sats. Thank you, Plunger. That's very generous of you, my friend. I appreciate that. And we had a pretty fat zap here in Arnie's wallet right here. Where is it? Right there. 1,888 sats from an anonymous donor. And I want to give a big shout out here because this was on March 22nd. I don't know when that was, but that would have been on Saturday. And we got 20,888 sats from our guy, Ian. Said, for you and the family, Jor, 3 orange hearts. I didn't even see that till this morning, Ian. But I don't know if you're watching today or you might be watching this later, but that's awesome. That is so incredibly generous, Ian. Very much appreciate that. And everybody. It means a lot to me. Buck52 says, how's your Start9 setup working? That's good. I haven't had any sort of complaints. I haven't been as active with it as I wanted to be. But, I'm still connected to the node. I'm still looking after my own bank, and there's going to be a lot of use cases for this Start9 in the future. Just gotta, keep learning about it. Keep playing around with it. So that was the solo Satoshi, solo block. Where was this other one here? Hold on. Hold up. Yeah, it's not working. Zapstream is not working. That's annoying. But okay, so let's move on here. There was a let's go to Jeff Booth actually. So what do we got here? We're half an hour in. These are a couple of topics that I wanted to talk about here specifically today. Let me find the Jeff Booth clip here. Can someone just let me know in the chat if the streams work? If my computer's really, really loud, and whenever it's really loud, it's usually not working very well. So just comment if you don't mind, if things are okay or choppy or whatever experience we got going right now. Okay. So Letha said, looks and sounds good. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Letha. So this was, Jeff Booth has been one of my, I would say, indirect mentors within Bitcoin. I've learned a lot from him. And, the more you listen to a guy like Jeff Booth, I think you have to listen to a lot of his stuff before you fully grasp what he's talking about here. Because he looks at Bitcoin completely different than anybody else I've ever heard talk about Bitcoin. He was responsible for me a couple different light bulb moments within Bitcoin in terms of repricing things, in terms of how irrelevant certain things are in the old system and how little time we should be allocating to that. But this one specifically, I started listening to this before I was going to bed the other night, which was a horrible idea because I was up for another 2 hours writing down notes and stuff. But yeah. But I titled the show today, "We're Missing the Plot in Bitcoin." And I think that that's true. I really do. And so I'm gonna share this clip from Jeff Booth. We're gonna talk about it a little bit. I'm gonna talk about why I'm so incredibly bullish around Bitcoin, even though it seems like we've kind of been going up and down for a little while. And there's a lot of people out there who thinks we've kind of topped out in Bitcoin right now. And I think that they're about to be very surprised. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but it just seems to me like there's a lot of stuff building up right now. Macro, big picture, but also kind of in the weeds here. But the point of Jeff's conversation here is none of that. And this is an interview he did with Mark Moss last week, I think it was. And Mark Moss, like he came from the old system. So he's big on the leverage. He's big on, trends. He's big on historical data. He's big on the technology aspect, the AI stuff within Bitcoin. I mean, I get all that too. It's part of it. And so he's having a conversation with Jeff, and he's kind of trying to lead him down a couple different roads to talk about why, Bitcoin's going to explode because of AI or this. And Jeff Booth just kind of keeps going back to the same thing. And this is what I love so much about Jeff Booth is that he just focuses on the first principles aspects of everything. And, he kind of says within this clip, like he doesn't say it, but he says it without saying it. He said, everything else is just kind of a distraction. You can worry about whatever you want to. You can be excited about whatever you want to, but none of it matters. There's a couple things that matter in Bitcoin, but other than that, that's it. You buy Bitcoin, you take it in self-custody, your life improves, and you don't have to worry about anything else. And that's the plot. That's the main thing that we need to be worried about within Bitcoin. It doesn't matter what the fiat price is. It doesn't matter which countries are buying it. It doesn't matter who got elected. It doesn't matter which companies added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. It's going to happen eventually. It's going to happen eventually. And so I'm going to share a couple minutes of this, and maybe, we'll play it. We'll talk about it. And then I'll share kind of another theory that I got going right now within Bitcoin. But this is Jeff Booth. So again, Mark Moss kind of trying to pry him a little bit to talk about a few different things within Bitcoin and some exciting things around Bitcoin. And he's like, who cares? Doesn't matter. There's two things that matter. And as long as those things happen, then nothing else matters. So here we go. Hopefully this works okay.
Happened over the last 5 years. If you've been in Bitcoin for 10 years, you know it's happened over the last 10 years. If you're in Bitcoin 5 years from now, you know it's going to happen. And it's going to happen in a faster rate until, like, yes, depending on what country you're in, there's going to be some massive dislocations and repricing events that could happen a lot faster. Right, that's just a failure of a currency. I suspect the U.S. currency is not going to fail anytime soon. So it's going, but it might print a lot more, right, and get away with it, and which would lead to a significant rise in, at least in that currency's point of view, to Bitcoin. It fascinates me watching people grapple with the one thing. Like, every day there's a new thing that they're saying this is the reason, when fundamentally nothing has changed for the last 15 years. You knew one system was insolvent. It couldn't resolve this problem. You knew the system transition was underway. And so if you're mostly outside the system.
Okay, that was kind of the main thing that really caught my attention there. I'm going to let this play for a couple minutes, but I want to replay that there, because basically what he said there is that, you know, every day there's a different distraction. There's quantum computing. There's this prime minister got elected. There's this company that added Bitcoin to the balance sheet. There is, you know, the interest rates are going up. He said fundamentally, in the last 15 years, nothing has changed. When you look at this thing from a very first principles standpoint, nothing has changed in the last 15 years. Ever since Bitcoin came out or was released into the world in 2009, nothing has changed. Big picture, there's been a whole bunch of different little things that have changed, but overall, nothing has changed. Let's listen to that again.
Faster rate until, like, yes, depending on what country you're in, there's going to be some massive dislocations and repricing events that could happen a lot faster. Right, that's just a failure of a currency. I suspect the U.S. currency is not going to fail anytime soon. So it's going, but it might print a lot more, right, and get away with it. And which would lead to a significant rise in, at least in that currency's point of view, to Bitcoin. It fascinates me watching people grapple with the one thing. Like, every day there's a new thing that they're saying this is the reason, when fundamentally nothing has changed for the last 15 years. You knew one system was insolvent. It couldn't resolve this problem. You knew the system transition was underway, and so if you're mostly outside the system, if you're in Bitcoin, these dips just provide opportunity to accumulate more.
Yeah, I guess just, you know, not everybody has that certainty, right? Not everybody has that level of conviction, nor does anybody have the ability to tell the future either. And so I think then it probably comes down to the level of conviction and certainty that you have around that. And
so let's dig a little deeper on there, and because that's why this is. I think this is why it doesn't actually say anything about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just a ledger that every 10 minutes there's a new block that is bounded by energy. You're grappling with something that is imposing a discipline on a world without discipline, because it's like this. So the conviction is driven by this. I would venture to say the only conviction what you should spend all your time on is, can Bitcoin stay decentralized and secure? Because if it can, or if it does, and you're weighting your probabilistic weighting of whether it does or not, It's actually the only thing that matters, and what we just described. There is nothing else that matters. And you could say, I believe governments are going to attack it. I believe quantum is going to break it. I believe, and all of those are beliefs, and you could assign a different probability. But if it stays decentralized and secure, it actually doesn't, it makes no difference. It is repricing the world.
Right. Yeah, I think obviously we agree on that. I think back to just people not developing that conviction, we're still seeing a world where people are pushing XRP, not understanding the difference between XRP or Solana or whatever, right? So for you to say if it stays decentralized and secure, most people don't even know what that means.
Yeah,
they don't even understand what decentralization is and why Bitcoin might be different than any one of those other assets. And so I think you first have to come to that realization first, right?
Yeah. I think we're saying the same thing, kind of, and you've gone really deep on this subject. I've gone really deep on this subject. I've probably spent over 10,000 hours trying to disprove what I just said.
Yeah,
spending all my time in can it stay decentralized and secure against natural centralization that we've always allowed through human. So we have to be. What I'd say to that is, if currencies have always been centralized, whether it's gold and then repriced or some, then we must be part of the thing that allows them to be centralized. And so can Bitcoin withstand that? Is really the ultimate question. Can it withstand us? How many of us know? How many of us run nodes? What does it look like? And so I went through the same thing that everybody would go through, and the cognitive dissonance of there's no way this thing could do that, and then coming to a greater appreciation of why I believed it would stay decentralized and secure. But again, where I think we're saying the same thing. So it doesn't say anything about Bitcoin. It says the cognitive dissonance that's going on in every single human mind in trying to understand something that's never been in existence before.
Right.
That's really what's happening.
Yeah. So you as a futurist, as a technologist, I mean, you understand.
Oh yeah, I want to play that part again as well, because that was the other part to this. Basically what he's saying there is that it's not a Bitcoin thing. The price goes up this day, it crashes the next day. That's not a Bitcoin thing. And even over months and years, has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin hasn't changed. Every 10 minutes, a new block is mined. And essentially what he's saying here is that the only thing that's happening and the only lag here is that humans just don't understand this thing yet. And what he said there was that they don't understand something because it's never existed before. And that it makes sense. How could the average person understand something that has never existed before? And we as humans always try to associate things and relate things to what we already know. But with Bitcoin, it's so much different than everything that we've ever known before. If it was like, if we had Facebook and then a newer social media application came out that had different features that Facebook doesn't have, we could say, okay, well, this is just an upgrade to Facebook. There's a couple more features here. I want to use this one. I'm going to switch my time and energy over to using this, Lacebook instead, whatever it is. But with Bitcoin, because it's something that has never existed before, it's so much different than anything that has existed before. The average person, and a lot of us can, attest to this, it's really difficult to understand. And so everything that's happening right now, it doesn't have anything to do with Bitcoin, being better or worse this week or the next. It has everything to do with humans just failing to grasp what this thing is. So let's just replay that one more time here.
Could do that. And then coming to a greater appreciation of why I believed it would stay decentralized and secure. But again, where I think we're saying the same thing. So it doesn't say anything about Bitcoin. It says the cognitive dissonance that's going on in every single human mind in trying to understand something that's never been in existence before.
Right. That's
right. That's really what's happening.
Yeah. So you as a
I would encourage everybody to go listen to that chat. I loved it. You know, I really like Mark Moss. I love Jeff Booth. And the thing about that to me, after watching that interview with Mark and Jeff, was that, you know, clearly Mark Moss has been around Bitcoin for a long time. Clearly this guy understands markets. He understands how things affect other things. And to listen to two guys like this, again, somebody who has a really good understanding of Bitcoin, and then Jeff Booth, to hear those two people talk and go back and forth, and Mark trying to lead him down these different roads of, you know, relating things that humans know to Bitcoin and what this trend could mean in Bitcoin. And Jeff just, you know, continuously saying over and over again, none of that matters. As long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, it doesn't matter. And even a guy like Mark Moss had a hard time grasping that, which to me just shows kind of how far, you know, into Bitcoin. And that relates to two different things that I wanted to talk about now. And the first one is this was a post from American HODL on Nostr. So this is going to be our Nostr news of the day today. It's not really news. I got to change that because it's not news. These are just Nostr posts that I want to share. So we'll come up with a new name for that. But in the meantime, this is pretty much, you know, where we are right now. So this is a good, this is from American HODL. And it's, what are these called? Venn diagrams. And it says on the left here, it says, can explain the difficulty adjustment. This is a group of people here. Anybody who can explain the difficulty adjustment. And this is a group over here that says, thinks Bitcoin is worthless. And in the middle here, in the Venn diagram, it says, no one I've ever met. Which means that if you understand Bitcoin, you know that it's pretty significant. It's a pretty big idea. And this is something I talked about on the 365 days of Bitcoin yesterday. And I titled it Green Lights. And this is how I started thinking about Bitcoin a little bit differently as of recent. And so when you see that and you see, you know, somebody who understands Bitcoin, they obviously know that there's something there. They're obviously going to spend more time, their time and energy learning about Bitcoin, more of their capital buying Bitcoin. Because if you understand it, and that's kind of where I was going with this, is that I've been thinking about Bitcoiners like, just picture a map of the world. And picture it like in dark mode. So, you know, at nighttime, when the whole world shuts down, I'm sure you've seen maps like that online where, you know, it's nighttime, it's dark. There's a couple of lights here and there for big centers. But I want you to think about that map now and think about all the different people in those countries, in those provinces and states, in those cities, in those towns and areas of each city and town, and then neighborhoods. And over time, you would see, if you looked at that map, and you would see these different green lights popping up around the world. And when I say green lights, I want you to think about somebody who understands Bitcoin, not somebody who owns Bitcoin, not somebody who has a Bitcoin wallet, not somebody who has purchased Bitcoin before, but somebody who understands Bitcoin. I think that that's what we need to be putting a lot more of our time and energy focusing on, is the people who understand Bitcoin, the green lights around the world. Okay. So those green lights are essentially the demand for Bitcoin. Not the people who own Bitcoin, not the people who have bought Bitcoin, but the people who understand Bitcoin. And you can think back to yourself. Think about how many hours it took you to get to the point where you actually understood Bitcoin. You don't have to be an expert. Nobody here is an expert, but like a deep understanding of Bitcoin. How long did it take you to get to that point when on the map of the world, wherever you live, that light went green, turned on? How long did it take? Quite a while. And so that's kind of, if you think about the demand aspect of Bitcoin and the supply part of Bitcoin, that's kind of the equation here. Demand, top line, supply, bottom line. How many people understand it versus how many Bitcoin are actually available out there. And so as that top number, as the demand goes up, as the green lights around the world turn on, the equation there, it keeps going up. So let me just show you. I'll show you an Excel spreadsheet of what I'm talking about here. And this is why I think that this is much more important than like the supply. Like people are, it's important obviously to have a scarce supply of something, but there's a lot of people who, we put a lot of weight into like the halvings, the 19.6 million, whatever that is. So let me bring this spreadsheet up and I'll kind of explain what I mean here. I think it'll be better with some visualization of this thing. So we got the green lights around the world. This is the demand for Bitcoin. So let's say that there's 100 million right now. I think that's pretty high, but let's say that there's 100 million people around this world right now who actually understand Bitcoin. And the bottom is the total Bitcoin available. Bitcoin available. Supply. Okay, so we're going to say that there is, let's just double check this so we're verifying things properly. Oh, shit. So we got 19.84 million. Hey, look at that. Moscow time day. I'll put that one on the back burner for a second, if we remember. If not, whatever. But okay, so let's close that. So we got 19.84 million supply, or 94.48% of the 21 million. So what was that? 19.84. So 19.84. Okay. So at this should be about 5, I think. So if we take the total green lights around the world, the demand, and we divide it by the supply, we get about 5.04. So as the important part of this is that as these green lights continue to turn on around the world, as more and more people start to understand Bitcoin, it takes some time. But here's the thing, for me as a green light, I've probably turnn on several, I don't know, dozens, hundreds of other green lights around the world. And as these green lights continue to turn on around the world, it's just going to exponentially grow higher and higher. So let's say that the green lights here, over the next couple of years, the demand grows to, oh shit. Let's say that it doubles. Supply doesn't change. I mean, the supply might be a little bit higher, but it's fairly irrelevant. Like that's kind of what I'm trying to say here, is that this number isn't going to change very much ever. This is pretty much, for the most part, done. But as this top line, as more and more of these green lights around the world continue to turn on, like this number is just going to grow and grow and grow. So it went from 5 to 10x. And then of course, if you put in, 2 billion, eventually that's what it's going to be. 2 billion. Oh, I keep missing a zero here. It's a lot. It's a lot of zeros. 2 billion. So that's 100. And so that's kind of what I want you to understand here, is these green lights around the world, as they continue to turn on, as more and more people continue to understand Bitcoin. See, and then the other point I wanted to make here is that, as this top number grows, I keep missing zeros here. There we go. Like, let's say that this goes to 20 million. So that's 7.5 right now. But even if, when the supply reaches 20 million, it's not changing that much at all. Like the supply isn't going to be a huge factor in this anymore. It's important, obviously. It's a very important aspect of this Bitcoin thing, but it's all about the demand. And I think the most important part of this whole thing here, it gives you a good visualization. you can imagine all these different green lights continue slowly to turn on around the world. I think that's a good visualization of it. And as that grows, the amount of people, the demand for Bitcoin will grow. So the amount of people will grow. The Bitcoin that are available, the amount of Bitcoin that those people who understand Bitcoin can buy will not change. So it will just exponentially continue to go up in purchasing power. There'll be more and more people fighting for the same amount of Bitcoin. But here's the most important part of this whole thing. Is that once one of those green lights turn on, and I would actually like to see the statistics about this. Once one of those green lights turn on, they never shut off. That's the big thing here. Once again, that's why going back to how I started this was that it doesn't matter how many wallets are out there. It doesn't matter how many people have bought Bitcoin. None of that matters. The whole thing that matters here is the green lights, the people who actually understand Bitcoin. Because once that green light turns on, it is never going to shut off. And that's kind of what I was going to say. Like, I shouldn't talk in absolutes here, but I would be very interested to know the statistics on once going back to that Venn diagram there. Going back to this Venn diagram, once people understand it, that's it. It's over. Never going back to that system. You understand what the value in Bitcoin, you understand that there's something there, that you understand that this is where the world's going to, and you should try to get as many of these sats as possible. Once you get to that point, you're never going back into that old system. So once one of these green lights turn on, they never shut off, ever. And that's this thing right here. No one I've ever met. So no one who understands Bitcoin goes back. So again, I don't want to talk in absolutes here in terms of like every single person who's ever understood Bitcoin has never gone back to the old system. But I think it would be very, very high, like almost 100%. I think this would be the one exception to like the 80-20 rule, where this is like 99.9999999% of people. Green light turns on, you understand Bitcoin. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You're never going back to that system. That light will never shut off. And that's important when you understand the supply and demand aspects of this thing. Because as that number continues to rise in Bitcoin, there's more and more people fighting for that same bottom line. There's the supply. And that top number is never going to decrease. And so when you think about this thing big picture, it doesn't matter what the price is at any given moment. The only thing that matters there is the top line, the people who understand Bitcoin. Because for the rest of their lives, they're going to be adding value to the world and buying up as much of that scarce bottom line as they possibly can. And as that top number gets higher, obviously the price goes up. If you understand the economics, the supply and demand aspect of that, that's it. So I think the only time that green lights would shut off is when people die. That's the only time that I could really think of when these green lights will shut off over time. But the family still has that Bitcoin. And hopefully they've done a good job of teaching their kids, their spouse, whoever's getting their Bitcoin, they've also been will turn on or have already been turned on. So that top line is just going to keep growing exponentially. And regardless of how big that top line gets, we cannot increase the bottom line. In every other system that has ever existed before, the higher that top number went to, the more and more people who join that top line, you could just add more to the bottom. And eventually the supply would keep up with the demand. In every other thing that has ever existed in human history before, the higher that top number went, we could also increase the bottom number, which would eventually catch up. The supply would eventually meet the demand. But Bitcoin is the only asset that has ever existed in human history where the supply cannot change irregardless of the demand, irregardless of how many green lights are on in the world. And that's why I love this analogy, because you can actually just picture it so well that, 10 years ago, there was hardly any green lights around the world. It's very scarce. And over time, if you watch like a time lapse of this, they would just be slowly turning on and on and on all around the world. And as that increases, that's why the price of this thing, that's why the purchasing power, that's why everything is just continually going up. And that's when Saylor says it's going up forever, is because of that reason. Once the green light turns on, it will never turn off. And we cannot create more supply to match the green lights around the world. So all those green lights around the world are going to continue fighting over this scarce amount of Bitcoin forever, which is a pretty crazy concept to be, completely. It's hard. It's really hard to understand, and kind of go back to what Jeff Booth was talking about there. He said, like, this has nothing to do with Bitcoin itself. It has everything to do with the people who are understanding this. That's the only thing that matters. That's the plot that we have to worry about in Bitcoin, is the more people that understand this thing, it will just keep going up and up and up, because that's how supply and demand works. Top numbers are going to keep going up. Green lights are going to continue turning on around the world. The bottom line cannot change. And for the amount that it does change, it's going to be so insignificant compared to that top line. That's the whole point of that. So that's my green light analogy that was inspired by a couple of these different things from Jeff Booth and other things I've seen in the last couple of weeks. But I missed a lot of comments here, so I apologize for that. And now we're offline. Of course we are. Oh no, we're not. We're still there. We got another frog. We got Greeny. All right, I thought the Zap stream would be done by now, but we're back. We're still there. I don't know. Who the hell knows? What was the other thing I wanted to talk about here? I don't know. There's too much news, too much for me to keep up with. I just said, you know what? We're just going to talk, and that's where it led to. So let's get some comments here, and then we'll see what we can do. Sabian, missed you for a while. Jor, welcome back. Thank you. Buck52 says, I watched this in regards to the Jeff Booth interview. I'm thinking, kind of scared me in a positive way. Got to get my ass in gear. Yeah, it should scare you, because that's what you have to understand is, as these green lights turn on around the world, you're now fighting with more people for that bottom line. And when there's more people fighting for that bottom line, obviously the price is going to go up. And it's going to get harder and harder to obtain these things, regardless of what you're doing. Quick laughs. Love your content. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Mate says, what's your thoughts on Josh Mandel's predictions? Honestly, I haven't spent a whole lot of time thinking or looking into that, so I don't really have much of a comment. I was surprised, though, just by how many people just jumped on board with that. Like, I don't know. Until I see something else, it's meaningless to me. I don't know why I'm so blurry, or maybe I'm just blurry. But, here's how I look at it. It's like, I don't know who Josh Mandel is. I haven't spent any time thinking about him or looking into him. He could be a bad guy. He could be a terrible guy. Could be a great guy. No idea. So he predicted that Bitcoin was going to be 84K on this specific date, which is pretty impressive. But like, that's it. Maybe he just got lucky. That's the only thing I've ever seen or heard about this guy. From what I've seen, actually, is that there is something there, something we should be paying attention to, but I haven't yet. So it would be like me making a Twitter account and saying, this is going to be the price on this date, and make 1,000 Twitter accounts. Eventually, one of those is going to be right. Hopefully. If not, then I just wasted a bunch of time. I don't think that's the case here. I think that it sounds like he had a pretty solid argument for why he thought it was going to be that at that time. He's also calling for 440K Bitcoin this year, which I think to me would be bearish in 2025. But who knows? There might be something there. I think it's just more so something to watch. And if he's somewhat close to his next prediction, then yeah, I'll tune in a little bit more closely. But at the same time, it's like what we were just talking about there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who Josh Mandel is. It doesn't matter what his price predictions are. It doesn't matter what the price is. The only thing that matters here is that Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure. And if it does, it will continue to reprice everything on this earth and beyond. So that's a good example of like this, a distraction. Brian says, Booth is a great advocate for Bitcoin, 100%. Can't recommend his book enough. Biggest takeaway is that all fiat dies. That's it. Learn from history. Solution, buy and hold Bitcoin. Exactly. Price of Tomorrow is the name of the book. And that's what Jeff Booth said. He said, fundamentally, nothing has changed in the last 15 years. The debt is still insolvent. There's no possible way for us to repay that. There's no possible way for that fiat system to improve. There's no way to turn that ship around. There's not. It's not possible that the fiat system is saved. And so all that is going to flow into Bitcoin over time. Not flow into Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's going to reprice everything that has historically been priced in fiat. So yes, our houses will probably go down. They're continue to going down in Bitcoin terms, in the real measurements, the real measuring stick. Every asset is going to continue to fall forever. That's a really hard realization to get your head around. The price of your house is going to fall forever in Bitcoin terms. That's why it's so hard, I think, for that's why I love that so much, because he says it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just a ledger. It has everything to do with how the world works, how as technology improves, things get cheaper. If it costs less to make a house, if it's more efficient to build a house, the cost of that asset in real terms, Bitcoin, will go down forever. And we've seen the housing prices go down in terms of Bitcoin forever, or to this point. I shouldn't say forever, but it will just continue to happen. Again, it's a really hard realization to come to, but it makes sense. It makes total sense. Crypto Princess, good morning. Good to see you. Albin, how do I completely move over to a Bitcoin standard? I really like Bitcoin and everything it stands for. I'm not sure how to get myself 100% into a Bitcoin standard. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I would say I'm pretty close to living on a Bitcoin standard right now. I still pay a few bills in fiat, but every time I get paid or anytime I receive money, I convert it into Bitcoin. And then whenever I need to spend money, I just convert it to cash. It's easy to overthink these things, but it's really not that hard. And people will worry about the taxes and other implications of it. And it's just like, who cares? It's the other part too, like the tax system, the governments, the president, the policies. It's all going to change forever. It's going to continue to change and evolve. And I think that a lot of countries and leaders of those countries have realized that Bitcoin is going to be a very hard beast to tame. When you can do something for somebody anywhere in the world and they can send you value without being attached to your name, that's a centralized system's worst nightmare. And people haven't fully grasped the fact that you can do that and what the implications of that to the world are when you can do that. When you can do a job for somebody from your house, for anybody on this planet, and they can send you Bitcoin that's not attached to your name, your address, your social insurance number, that's a big problem for centralized systems. And I think they're starting to understand that. That's why, down the road, I think that all taxes will be wiped out because it's just going to be impossible for them to enforce anything. It's going to be impossible for anybody who's living outside of that system for them to enforce that. So don't overthink it. There's probably certain things that you should be aware of. And actually, we talked about this on the Maple Bitcoin live stream on Friday. Somebody asked the same question. And I actually really liked Brian's answer. We had Brian Harrington on as a guest on Friday for the Maple Bitcoin live stream. And I liked his answer to this. He basically said that you should think about it in 3 different buckets, like short-term, medium-term, long-term, and you kind of make adjustments to that. Obviously, your very short-term needs are met by cash for the most part. Medium-term, that's kind of could be a mixture of cash and Bitcoin. Longer-term is going to be Bitcoin. And depending on where you are in the cycle, I think that's how your medium bucket should change, right? Like if you think that Bitcoin's going to go up like where we are right now, and you don't need that money for the next 6 months, you know, you might bump up your Bitcoin as part of your medium bucket there. You might bump up your Bitcoin allocation a little bit more during that time. I really like that, actually. That was a really good way to put it, way to think about things. Don't get caught up on the other shit, though. That's another point here. Don't worry about like the tax stuff. You know, again, it's going to be very hard for centralized systems to enforce and compete and influence in a decentralized world. So this was one I wanted to share too. This was the Start a Bitcoin side hustle. This was, I think, a lot more people need to watch this video. A really good first step in terms of living on a Bitcoin standard is start doing things where you can earn Bitcoin and start learning about ways to accept Bitcoin privately, how to transact in Bitcoin privately, get paid in Bitcoin privately. So I would strongly suggest that people check this video out here. It's called Starting a Side Hustle in Bitcoin. I'll throw it in the chat here for everybody. It's only 20 minutes long. I think that the amount of many more people need to watch this video. There's been 1.6 thousand people watch it out of 8 billion. That's sad. But it talks about, you know, adding value and getting Bitcoin in return, and why, you know, how this new decentralized world is going to look because of this, because you can now put a QR code on your screen. You can get on the internet, you can talk about whatever you want, and anybody on the planet can send you value for it without any permission, without having to put in their credit card information, without anything. Anybody with an internet connection who's learned anything from this show or enjoyed it or got a laugh from it, they can now send value back this way. That entirely changes the landscape of this world, this economy, everything. It changes everything. This was never possible 5 years ago. If I wanted to get you to send me, if I was streaming on YouTube 5 years ago and something I said really hit home with you, something I said changed your life, something I said, you know, altered the course of your life, and you wanted to give me something back, there's nothing that you could have done. You would have had to maybe send PayPal, but you can't get a PayPal without your ID. You can't get a PayPal account without fully KYCing yourself. So you would be fully KYC'd. I would be fully KYC'd. There would be a fee on that. And it's in a system that's useless. That's how it looked 5 years ago. Now, you don't need any of that. You don't need the PayPal there. I have a QR code on the screen. You could send any amount, 1 sat, 5 sats, anything that you think that it's worth, without permission, without KYCing yourself, without me having to KYC that income. That's just such a huge thing. That's such a huge thing. Like crazy. But anyways, back to what I was saying there on the live. So you can actually go to Maple Bitcoin here. You can go to live, and the show we did with Brian, at the end of it, we talked about living on a Bitcoin standard and ways to get there. Zapstream's done. Whoops. Sorry, Zapstream. I tried. Hey, Ricky Bobby says, listening while at the research bench, making the lab listen whether they like it or not. That's called orange pilling, forcing people to listen to Bitcoin. Booth reminds me of Morpheus from Matrix, except Booth is only offering an orange pill. That's true. I think he's the best thought leader in the space, Jeff Booth. Dingo Booty. Love that. Albin says, probably to fully understand Bitcoin and eventually see the problem, it took 2 years. So think about how many people are kind of in that spot right now where they are interested, in Bitcoin, and they're starting to explore it. They're starting to watch some YouTube videos. 2 years out from now, think about how many green lights around the world are going to be turned on because of that delay. Like I know once you get to that point where your green light has turned on, you think that, you're an idiot if you don't understand this thing. Why isn't everybody buying Bitcoin today? But then you forget how long it took you to get to that point. And then you have to factor in that length of time is going to happen over and over and over again. And green lights around the world will continue to turn on, and they're never turning off. Sabian says, a few years, I still learn something new in Bitcoin every day. 5 years into it. Rick says, 60 watching, 30 likes. What? Oh my gosh. That's sad. Although likes, as important as we may think they are, zaps are more important. But I do appreciate it, Rick. So if you would like to send some value to Arnie's wallet, he was here for a couple seconds today, but you can just scan that QR code there, and I'll put a Lightning address up, hopefully at the end of the show here. If you don't like QR codes, is it here? There it is. If you would like to donate sats to Arnie's wallet, send to adoptedson98 at walletofsatoshi.com. So there's QR code, there's a Lightning address there. I might start putting an on-chain address somewhere too. I know there's people who don't use Lightning. So I'm thinking I'm going to start putting an on-chain address there. And I don't care how many UTXOs that creates. Bitcoin is better than no Bitcoin. So we'll do that here soon. But there's something else I wanted to talk about here. Oh, the coffee thing. Yeah, that was cool. Let me, oh, look at that. We got a green light. Never thought about that. The green light here too. Whenever somebody sends in a zap, the screen lights up green. It's interesting. I was going to call it the orange light. Like every time somebody gets to that point where it clicks, light bulb goes on. I was going to call it the orange light, but it doesn't have the same effect as the green light. Green light means like active, like we're now on, we're now active. We're now out of that system. We understand that the light's never shutting off. I think green light is better than orange light. So let's start here. Oh, Paul, look at this. Super chat from Paul, $10. Thank you, Paul. Cheers, my friend. I really appreciate that. Paul. Good to see you, Paulie. Paul was one of our biggest donors from the Bitcoin Amigos, Paul. That's where I got to know him a little bit. So let me show you this. This is kind of cool. Let me show you this here quickly. How can I do this? King Golf. This is something I discovered during some of my long hours in the waiting room at the hospital. I thought this was really cool. Okay, I'm going to try to catch up on some more comments here while I do that. What do we got? 120. Okay, we're okay. Timber Crasher says, Bitcoin's decentralization over the long term is honestly what worries me. Yes, I agree with that. 50 years from now, are the new Bitcoiners going to want to run nodes? State actors will still be running nodes. Yes. That's what I mean. Like that's what we need to worry about in Bitcoin. We need to make sure the whole point of Jeff Booth talking about that is to make sure that Bitcoin indeed does stay decentralized and does stay secure. I think that we as Bitcoiners have a little bit more influence over the decentralization aspect of it. I saw that like 900,000 Bitcoin flowed from individuals to BlackRock and MicroStrategy and governments in the last year. 900,000 Bitcoin. And yes, obviously running a node is a big part of that. I would encourage everybody, every Bitcoiner who turns on their green light, to start running a node. But it's also important that we just like, if you need to spend your Bitcoin or sell your Bitcoin, make damn sure that you're not sending it back to the exchanges, because once it goes to the exchange, it's going to BlackRock. Once it goes to the exchange, it's going to the US government, and we're never going to get that Bitcoin back. So if you do have to spend Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin, make sure that you're giving it to somebody, another Bitcoiner, another individual. Make sure that we kind of slow down this outflow of Bitcoin from the individual to the corporations. That's a big thing. And I'm going to do my best to talk about that as much as I can, because it's easy to forget that. It's easy to forget that 50 years out. Obviously, it's not going to happen in the next couple of years, but like, yeah, if this trend continues where we got this much outflow from individuals to corporations, that's a problem for Bitcoin. And when we focus on decentralized and secure, every sat we send to the exchange reduces our decentralization. Every sat we send to sell to another Bitcoiner stays the same. Every Bitcoin node that turns on around the world from a Bitcoiner, from a green light, increases decentralization. Every solo Satoshi, every Bitcoin miner, solo miners that are out there plugged in, adding hash rate to the network, that increases our decentralization. These are the things that we have to be thinking about. Maybe I'll put these down in like some sort of a list of things that increase decentralization or decrease decentralization, just so it's top of mind for us. Because again, it's easy to get caught up in the noise. It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to be watching the price and losing the plot of Bitcoin. Bren says, guys, gals, I had a family member reach out to me about XRP. I've been sick for a week. Yeah. I mean, that's where people are at right now. And there's, we can do our best, but it's tough. It's really tough. All hype because Brad Garbage House was at the crypto summit, sitting by himself. Hey, Ian, I gave you a shout out a little bit earlier here for the zap, the fat zap that you sent in on Saturday. 20,888 sats for you and the family, Jor, from Ian. Thank you, Ian. Incredibly generous of you, my friend. Epiphany is hard to ignore. That's true. It's a truth. What it is. That's right, Tom. Morning, Tom, by the way. Don't know if I said good morning or not yet to you. He who stacks the most sats laughs the loudest. Yes, over the long term, that's absolutely correct. Tom says, looking at the Bitcoin or BitAxe Ultra, I don't even know what I don't know, but I think I want this. Yeah, I think it's just a really low risk thing to do in Bitcoin. It's a couple $100. You can't screw it up. It's a good learning experience. It increases decentralization. It's a very net positive for Bitcoin. So I mentioned it earlier, but I actually put at the top of my show notes here today, I put where to buy one, the Bitcoin Journey Solo Satoshi store. I put the link at the top of the show notes here. So we got a couple more zaps here. 888 sats came in to Arnie's wallet over there. And 880 sats. We got lots of 8s going on today. I love that. 880 sats anonymously, and 21 sats, 21 bits of digital gold dust for Arnie boy. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Albin says, are we in a bull market or a bear market right now? All these great news, but the price doesn't reflect it. That's kind of why I wanted to make the show today, Albin, is because doesn't matter. Only thing that matters, Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure. The number of green lights will continue to increase and never decrease, and the supply cannot change. It's very simple thinking. It actually could not be any more simple than that. If you're trying to time it, if you're trying to get cute with it, if you're trying to game the system, you're going to lose. Every time you add value to the world and get some value in exchange, you buy Bitcoin and you hold on to it. And you might have to spend some Bitcoin. When you do, you give it to another Bitcoiner. You don't sell it back to the exchange. And over the long term, things are going to work out for you. That's it. You don't have to waste any more time on anything. Truly. Jay says, I think we're talking about Josh here. Oh, he said to buy IBIT calls. I didn't know that. Regarding Josh Mundell, never copy trade and watch out for gambler's fallacy. Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I mean. Let's keep it very simple. Keep it very simple. Greg says 440K Bitcoin 2025 is bearish. It sounds overly optimistic for this year. Greg, I don't know if you know how fast Bitcoin moves. We're in March right now. Lewis says taxes might be less than the rate of return depending on where you live. No. Not possible. That's just not possible. I don't know, like I don't have a spreadsheet here proving that that's not possible, but it's absolutely not possible that you could lose rate of return on Bitcoin because of the taxes. It's just not something that could ever happen. I don't mean to be a dick, Lewis. I know you're a regular watcher of the show, but it's not possible. I mean, you could if you wanted to like pinpoint certain things. I don't know. I just don't. Whenever you're paying tax on something, it means that you made money off it, and whatever you made is going to outweigh the tax that you have to pay on that. It's a net positive, regardless, in any situation. It's not possible for the rate of return to be lower because of taxes. It's not possible. I mean, if you compared it to, no, it's not. It's not possible. Garja, hello from Florence, Italy. Thanks for the great lessons you keep giving us. Bitcoin is the future. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here this morning. It's good to see you. And look at this. This must have been Cleaner Machine, one of the sats that came into Arnie Boy's wallet today. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, this is a great example from DAT. Says, hello again. If you walk along our city high street in the UK, there's no evidence of Bitcoin anywhere. This bothered me initially, but now it makes me happy. We are so early. 100%. I know I've been guilty of this myself within Bitcoin, thinking I'm late or wondering why it's taken so long. But if you realistically looked at this, like I know in Bitcoin, you have your algorithm, you have your YouTube, you have all these different things that you think about all day. You just have to understand how rare that is. So not only is it an opportunity for your investments and your monetary and your family's future, but it's also an opportunity for the knowledge that you've been accruing, because you have to think about the fact that every single person, when you drive down a city street, hardly any of those green lights are on at those houses. Hardly any. All of those people are going to have Bitcoin. All of those people are going to need to know how to manage that Bitcoin, whether it's UTXOs, whether it's Lightning, Liquid, eCash, their private keys. Everybody is going to need to know how to do that. And then you shift to companies. Every business is going to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Every business owner is going to need to know how to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. Every municipality, every town, every city, every state, every province, every country is going to be holding Bitcoin. And they don't, the gap there between people who understand Bitcoin and the people who need to understand Bitcoin is massive. So yeah, that's absolutely right. It's easy to, get depressed and think you're late, but yeah, it's crazy how early we are, even at this point with how mainstream Bitcoin has become. Kev says, what's the best game to play on Ember for sats? It's a good question. I like playing Crash. Should we play a game of Crash right now live on the air? So this has been my strategy for Ember. I'll share it with you here. So within Ember, you can actually get the Ember app, and I'll put my referral link, even though I'm pretty sure it's maxed out. But anyways, you'll get some free sats for using it. But on Ember, you can actually just press a button. I'll show you right now. Actually, I think I'm already mining Bitcoin. I haven't missed a day since I got this app. Oh, I lied to you. Wow, I'm not. So I won't show my balance on here. But all you have to do on Ember here is you log in and you press start earning Bitcoin. That's it. Once a day, every 24 hours, you do that. Set your alarm clock, press start earning Bitcoin. Okay. So you press that. It's probably going to make you watch an ad, which is, you know, fair.
Excuse me.
So here's the ad. Let me get the Ember app for you here for the people who don't have this. This is honestly the most underrated free way to earn Bitcoin right now, by far. And I really regret taking so long to get it. I had a couple people tell me to get it, and I pretty much ignored them. And it's my biggest regret in Bitcoin. So let me share this with you. There's the link there. It might be in the show notes too, but I'll try to remember to put it in there if not. Sorry, we're just going through the ad here still. But we'll play a live game of Crash here because why not? It's a light day today. We're easing back into things here. We also get to give away some Bitcoin from Bitcoin Well too. Don't let me forget. Okay, so now you can see here that I am officially mining Bitcoin. So the clock starts. I got 24 hours till I have to press that button again, the big green button. So now you just earn sats all day. So it'll say you're earning like 5 sats an hour. Every time you refer a new friend, you get another 5 sats per hour, which is pretty good. Even starting point, 5 sats per hour for doing nothing, for pressing a button. So the trick to it though is you actually have to gamble with those sats before you can withdraw them. You can't just earn them and then withdraw them. You actually have to gamble with them first. So I play a game called Crash. And this is kind of how I do it. I just randomly, I've tried to game it. I've tried to trick it, but here it is. So I'm probably going to lose this here. Okay, so I ejected there. So I bet 1,000 sats. I won 140 sats. And you just have to eject before it crashes. And so if I would have held on here, I would have won 2,500 sats, 3,000 sats, 3,500 sats. They like teasing people. So this one, oh, you can't even really see it there. Sorry. I was watching because I was gambling. But I just basically turn it on, you know, every maybe once an hour. I just play randomly. I tried to game it and I tried to like figure out what it's going to be next, but you never win that way. So I just usually go on there, bet 1,000 sats, and then cash out really early. And so I gamble with that 1,000 sats. They're now withdrawable and usually win. You know, I won 190 sats there, I think, that's crazy. Just think like in 20 years from now, people are going to watch things like this and be like, that guy just pressed a button gambling and he won 190 sats. I just spent the last 6 months working for 190 sats. And that's the pain that people are going to feel. The longer they wait to get into Bitcoin, the more pain they're going to feel. And the more, you know, our purchasing power and whatever we have now is just going to go up. So I think I put that in the chat there. Did I? Yeah, there it is. So for those watching later, I'll put this in the show notes after, or maybe in a comment, something like that. But you should be able to use that code. Simon says, I read the Bitcoin Standard 2 years ago, and it was the answer I'd been looking for in my adult life. It clicked, I bought it, and never looked back, never sold. That was the first thing I ever read about Bitcoin, and it all made sense. Never bought anything else in my life. Wow. Good on you. Hey, Tom got a bit axe. Atta boy. Decentralization up. Nice work, Tom. Eleanor Hayes says, my USDT is stored on OKX, and my 12-word recovery phrase is wine, diary, film, attract, cat, festival, apple, bomb. How do I send them to Binance? It's a good question. That would be a good question if I hadn't seen 200,000 of these comments in the last 6 months. Every time I see one of these comments, I want to throw up. I hate bots. Bots are like my worst nightmare in life. And thank God Bitcoin fixes that. So if you ever see something like this, don't even try putting that 12 words into a wallet, especially if you have Ethereum in there. If you're using a Bitcoin only wallet, I don't think you're going to be affected by this. But if you put this into a wallet, I think that there's a way where they can actually fish that out of your Ethereum account. I don't know. But yeah, that's a bot for sure. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, also, I should actually make an official announcement, although I don't think people are dumb enough to fall for it. But there has been there must have been an inside job here, because while I've been away with my mom at the hospital, there's been a Discord user who's been reaching out to people within the Living in the Future community. I think maybe more than that too. But their username is jor.88 and then a dot afterwards. So if you see anything like that, it's not me. I only have Signal. It's all I use to communicate with people within the community and other Bitcoiners. That's it. I have Discord too, but I would never like send you a message or ask you like, what do you think of the current markets? And I think that most people who know me know that that wasn't me. But just keep an eye out for that. If anybody ever reaches out to you pretending to be me, it's not me. And I know I don't really need to say that, but just be aware, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else you watch, nobody's ever going to reach out to you and say like, what do you think of the current market? Like, I know that people here are intelligent enough to not fall for that, but just keep an eye out, because I've been I don't want to turn my comments off. But that's the crazy thing, is they only could have got that information from actually being in the Living in the Future or Bitcoin community there. So there had to have been somebody sign up for it, get information, and then, use that in a very nefarious way. So keep an eye out for that. If you're in Discord or Signal or whatever, like just be aware. A Salem poet says, hey, Jor, there's a pizzeria near my place that accepts Bitcoin. Do you think it's really worth? Oh, yes. Do you think it's really worth paying in Bitcoin, or is it better to stick with fiat? 100% pay in Bitcoin every single chance you get. If there's a business in your area that pops up and says, we're accepting Bitcoin, support them for sure. Number one, use them more than anybody else, but absolutely pay them in Bitcoin, because if you stop paying, or if they don't receive Bitcoin after going through the trouble of, setting things up, of telling their customers that they're accepting Bitcoin, if they go through all that work and nobody actually spends Bitcoin there, they're going to stop. And we don't want businesses to stop accepting Bitcoin. Once they get to that point, that's a huge milestone for a business to be able to get set up and say that they're accepting Bitcoin. 100%, every chance you get, buy with Bitcoin. Even if you want to sell your Bitcoin or spend your Bitcoin, just like if you had a pizza and it costs you $50, buy $50 worth of Bitcoin and send it to them. Even if it's going to cost you a bit of a premium, this is the kind of stuff that we need to happen to push this thing forward. This whole episode is about Bitcoin being inevitable, essentially. As long as it stays decentralized and secure, as Jeff Booth says, it's inevitable. Nothing else matters. But the things that we do control are how fast that happens. And so when a business turns on and they say they're accepting Bitcoin, 100% do everything that you can to actually pay them Bitcoin for that. And there's been a lot of people in this community here who have done that with our King Golf company and paid in Bitcoin. And so we've been, growing in Bitcoin. Anyways, look at that. SatStacker says I'm up 450,000 sats on Ember from gambling. Wow. I just gamble like very small amounts because I don't want to lose my Bitcoin. But Letha says, got to run. Have a great day, guys. See you, Letha. Thank you for the zap there. The first zap of the day back. Hey, Nick's here. Good morning, Nick. Cheers to you, my friend. And SatStacker says, mine says 12 sats per friend. Oh, there you go. So every friend you get on Ember, you get 12 more sats per hour. Crash takes too long. Do limbo or coins. Limbo or coins. Okay. I just like cash. I like the crash because it's not like there's other people involved there, right? You play like Limbo, you play Plinko, you play anything else. Like I just feel like it's all rigged against you. And no matter what you do, you're not going to get ahead there. Whereas Crash, there's different people involved there. So they can't just like specifically, screw you over. There's other factors there. It's kind of like going to a casino in real life where there's other people there versus just like playing a game where you're playing against a robot. So that's why I like Crash, because it seems more like a fair. Even though it's obviously rigged against you still, you have a better chance, I think. Nick says the entire space seems quiet today. Like Bitcoin? Yeah, I've noticed that too. It's okay though. It's going to happen. Here in Thailand, a bakery accepts Bitcoin. Every time I'm there, I pay with Bitcoin for my cakes and cookies. Yes, that's what we're talking about. That is what we're talking about, my friend. Gregory says, living the future is worth the subscription membership fee. I think it's the most underrated thing in Bitcoin, to be honest with you. You're going to have access, obviously, to not just me, but like there's some extremely intelligent, helpful people in that community. And it's going to evolve. It's going to turn into something else in 2026. But I would suggest if you're a Bitcoiner, you're feeling kind of lonely, you want to be part of the conversation, you want to be up to speed with what's happening in Bitcoin, you want to be buying and selling Bitcoin, there's something there for sure. And it's been around for over a year now. There's been people in there for over a year now, and it's growing every single day, and it's going to continue to grow. So it's $5 a month. You cannot ever beat that. $5 a month, and get you access to a lot of different things, not just the community there, but the videos too. There's hundreds of videos on there that you can watch that aren't available on YouTube. And I'm probably eventually going to shift more towards being like a private kind of thing versus doing this every day, but who knows when that happens. But the thing is with Bitcoin, with compounding, with anything, you want to get there as early as possible, because the longer you're there, the more of a rapport you have with other people, the more trust you gain with other people, and the more willing they will be to transact with you and work with you. If you've been there for a year and you've been interacting with people for a year, people are going to trust you more than somebody who just joined yesterday. And the only thing that you can do is just join today and let that time accrue within the community there. So $5 is kind of like the first level. And depending on how much help you need, you can kind of tier up from there. But that's the living the future right there. I just put it in the chat. So let's give away some Bitcoin and then we'll hit the road. My back's getting kind of sore here. It's been a long show today. I knew it was going to be a longer one because we've been away for 2 weeks here, but let's wrap things up here. Or not. We'll see. We'll see. Me and Arnie got the house to ourselves today, so who knows what's going to happen. Who knows what kind of trouble we're going to get into today. Hey, Arn? Where's that guy? Where is that guy? He'll probably start showing up here right away because he can tell that I'm winding down. Okay, let's give away some Bitcoin here. Get your Lightning wallets opened up. pointed at the screen. And the first person to scan this QR code is going to get the sats for today. Do I have any unclaimed sats? We're not even up here yet. Good. Okay. Everybody ready? Oh, I had 500 unclaimed sats. You know what? I'm going to give it to you guys and girls. Just as a thank you. I very much appreciate everybody here who's shows up every day, who supports this channel. You guys are awesome, truly. So here's first person to scan this code here is going to get 500 sats, and then we're going to do another one here. But this is the unclaimed sats that I must have just forgot to scan. So there you go. That's for you guys and girls. I was absolutely blown away with the people who reached out to me in the last couple weeks here. Just sending love and sending good energy. And I just feel like, it's free to do. It's free to do that. And it means so much to me. When people are going through shitty times, you don't know what kind of impact that has on people, on their spirits, and what that could turn into, and the people in their life. So I just want to say thank you. So this is a very small way to do that, 500 sats. But there you go. Congrats to whoever won that one. Hopefully it's been claimed anyways. I don't know. My lightning wallets don't seem to be working today. Claimed. Good. Okay, so let's do a toss now. Let's first person to scan this is going to get 210 sats or higher. Ready? Set. Go. 210. That's okay. We will absolutely take 210 sats any day. Has been claimed. There you go. So that is those sats are from our friends at Bitcoin Well, the best Bitcoin exchange / platform, best Bitcoin company, I think, in North America. My opinion. So if you join using that link, bitcoinwell.com/Jory, you get 5 free tosses into the wishing well. You get to do that 5 times, which is a minimum of about 1,050 sats and a maximum of 5 million sats. Every time you toss a coin into there, you got a chance to win 1 million sats. Could you imagine? We've never seen that. I think the highest we've seen is 210,000 sats. No, 21,000 sats. I don't know. Anyways, if you're in Canada, for sure. If you're in North America, make sure you give Bitcoin Well a try. They don't hold your Bitcoin. You send them money. They don't hold your money. They buy Bitcoin and they send you Bitcoin. They don't hold your money. They don't hold your Bitcoin. Completely non-custodial. So you have to know kind of what you're doing, I guess. But they got the lowest fees that I've seen. And they got some really cool things like the Bitcoin wishing well, which, just adds to the experience a little bit. So look at this, Garja. I've been accepting Bitcoin. Somebody from Minnesota is calling me. Sorry, Minnesota, I'm busy. Been accepting Bitcoin here at the butcher store where I work since 2023. No one has paid in Bitcoin yet, but I will not give up. This summer season, I'm sure some will, and I will make a video of that special moment. Garja, I want to... I don't know, put together a little post on Nostr. Put together like a short post on Nostr saying where you're, what city you're in, what your business is called. Just kind of give a little bit of a story about, what exactly you said there. And I'll share that on Nostr, and maybe it'll lead to the first sale and then the second sale. Because, Bitcoiners are very supportive people. And I feel like if they just know about it, they're going to want to support you. So I'm happy to do that. If you want to just tag me in a post on Nostr, and I'll repost it and give a bit of my own take on it. But we're definitely going to get you that first sale this year in Bitcoin this summer. I have no doubt, but I want to help you with that. So if you're okay with it anyways, obviously, but Rock Creations, good morning. Hey, Daniel. Good to see you back, George. It's good to be back. I don't know how many days I'm going to be here for, but We're back today. We had a long show today, almost 2 hours. So, Buck 52 says, is there a map of businesses accepting Bitcoin? Yeah, there is. Where? Let me show you. Map. So this is on Coinos. Go to coinos.io. And you can see a map here. Look at that, Vancouver, the Bitcoin capital of Canada, of North America, actually. Look at that. Look how many businesses are accepting Bitcoin in Vancouver. That's actually incredible. Vita Villa Smoothies, EJ Cell Phone Repair. Like this is a perfect example. This is the perfect way to end today's show. Thank you for asking that, Buck 52. This whole show focuses on a map. That's what we've been talking about this whole time, a map. And look at that. You can see this is just North America. But you can see here the orange signs or the green lights. And, 5 years ago, there would have been maybe one. There maybe been one down here. But these are slowly going to keep popping up. And just like we talked about with the green lights, with people understanding Bitcoin, it's going to be the case. We're going to see a time lapse of this map, and it's going to be all orange, and it's going to be all green. And it takes time to get there, but it's going to happen. And once these orange pins pop up, once these green lights turn on, they're not going back to the old system. They're just not. And every new orange sign that turns on, every new green light that gets flipped on, that's more people who are after that scarce amount of Bitcoin. And you just have to understand that aspect of it. This thing's not going anywhere. This thing's going to continue to go up. And every orange sign, every green light that turns on, that's more people who are fighting for that scarce amount of Bitcoin. The bottom line, the supply. Very simple. Nothing else matters. It's going to happen. It's going to take time. But this is a perfect example of that, perfect way to end this. So think about the world. Think about how valuable one sat's going to be when there's 1,000 times more businesses accepting Bitcoin. When there's 100,000 times more green lights, people understanding Bitcoin turn on the world. Think about what that is, because all of those people are fighting for the scarce amount of sats. And those orange signs, pins, green lights are never turning off. They're never going back to that old system. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Mert says Turkish people have been suffering for days because of the money the government has stolen from the people for years with money printing. Yeah, exactly. They want to fill their pockets more and more. People resist. I wish all Turks understood Bitcoin. Don't worry, Mert. They will. They will. Because you're going to be telling one person about it, and they're going to tell another person about it. And once those green lights turn on, they're not ever shutting off. So it's going to happen. It's just going to take time. And you should actually just appreciate how few orange pins there are and how few green lights are on, because you're fighting against less people for the same amount of Bitcoin. As this thing grows, you're just going to be fighting against more and more people and businesses and countries and companies and everything. As those green lights turn on, you're fighting for more people with more people for that same amount of Bitcoin. So just be thankful. Don't be worried about it. Be thankful. Francis, glad to see you're back, Jorah. Thank you, Francis. Good to see you, man. Appreciate that. Do I hold some alts? Yeah. That's why I don't consider myself a Bitcoin maximalist. I haven't bought anything else other than Bitcoin for the last 4 years. I don't spend any time in anything other than Bitcoin for the last 4 years. But I'm in a couple different group chats and things with buddies who have different coins, and it's fun. I wouldn't recommending exceeding like 2% of your total stack on altcoins and shit coins, but you got to have some fun in your life too. So that's why I don't consider myself a full Bitcoin maximalist, because it's just, I don't know. I think that if you're a maximalist with anything, then you're closed-minded, and I don't want to be closed-minded with anything. Greg's take says, great work, George. TradFi isn't going anywhere. We can't stop it. It's been here for centuries. Let Bitcoin do what it does. Exactly. 100%. 100%. Nick says, how many businesses just take Bitcoin on Strike or ZBD? That's what I mean. Like when you actually understand, what's happening here right now. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice. I haven't talked this much for 2 weeks. But if you understand what's happening now, where you can do a job for anybody on the planet, you can add value, you can do their bookkeeping, you can do a graphic design, you could design a logo for them, you can build a website, you can manage their email list, you can increase their sales, you can work for anybody on this planet now, and they can pay you in Bitcoin. And you can get paid without having to put in your name, provide ID, or anything. That exists today. And that's a really big fucking deal, because when that happens and when you don't need to KYC yourself, it's over. It's over for the centralized systems. They've been able to maintain that illusion for hundreds of years, hundreds of thousands of years, because we never had anything like Bitcoin. That's why it's so hard for people to wrap their head. I know this episode was kind of like all over the place, obviously, but if more people saw this and kind of started to understand this, like, it's all you need to know. You don't have to worry about like anything else. But yeah, I mean, as businesses accept Bitcoin and understand that they can accept Bitcoin without having to tell anybody that they accepted Bitcoin, that's it. Try taxing that. So the only way that people are going to pay taxes in that world is if they do it voluntarily. And who's going to voluntarily pay taxes? So when you understand that, we're there already now. It's just that people haven't caught on to that. But as it plays out, there's no going back. You can't put the genie back in the bottle now. It's out. It's done. Centralization over. It's going to die a very slow death, painful death. And the people who stay in that system the longest are going to feel the most pain. But you have the ability to completely withdraw yourself from that old system today and start saving your time and putting all of your energy into Bitcoin and turning on that green light and spreading that in your life. Cleaning Machine says, how do you do that? Just show your QR code publicly when you want to accept Bitcoin in your business. Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. That's one thing. Probably in a few years, you'll have a wallet. This is kind of how I see it. In a few years, you're going to have a wallet where you have your dollars, you have your Bitcoin, you have your tokenized shares, whatever it is, and your kind of like spending account. And you'll be able to atomically swap that all with whatever the retailer wants, the vendor wants to accept for payment. And you'll just be able to tap your phone. Like, this technology is here already. So it's not going to be QR codes forever. I mean, it's cool on like a video like this. That's cool to me that anybody on the planet can send value to me with this QR code is cool. But you're not going to want to stand there and like, scan QR code. It's going to be tap. You're going to be tapping your phone. And then probably in 20 years, you'll just go like this. You'll wink. You'll wink at the store owner and you'll send them 21 sats. That'll be like your sign to send sats. You'll just wink or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we're going here. Technology moves one way. And whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not, it doesn't matter. And I think once you get to that point of understanding, your life changes forever. Forever. We got some zaps rolling in here. I know the zap stream was down today, but I just want to say thanks to everybody for sending some sats to Arnie. 888 sats said, this is a semi-fat zap for Arnie from Daniel. No, that's a fat zap. Anything of 888 sats and above is a FADS app. So not a semi FADS app, but thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that, man. And somebody else sent 1,000 sats anonymously. So we're going to leave it there. Keep this under 2 hours. I got 20 seconds. I hope you all have the best day of your life today. Nick says these are the best ones with no agenda. Yeah, I agree. So it's been a slice. I'll hopefully be back in the next couple of days. But anyways, thanks for being here. Thanks for this.